Space near Earth was calm. Too calm. Around the blue planet, human satellites moved in perfect lines. Defense stations watched every direction. Nothing entered without being seen. Then suddenly something appeared. It did not come from a known route. It did not send a signal. It did not slow down in a normal way. It just showed up. Alarm started at once. Inside Earth Orbital Command Station, red lights flashed. Officers turned to their screens. Unknown object detected. One of them said, "Distance," the commander asked. "Close, too close." Everyone in the room went silent. The object was already near Earth's outer defense line. That was not possible. No ship should be able to reach that position without being tracked long before. "Is it cloaked?" someone asked. "No, it's not cloaked," another officer replied. "It's just damaged." The main screen zoomed in. A ship appeared. But it was not like any human ship. Its shape was uneven, like it had been broken many times. Parts of it were missing. Some sections were dark. No lights. No movement. It looked dead. "Power levels?" the commander asked. "Almost zero." "Weapons?" "None detected." That made it worse. A ship with no weapons, no power, and no signal, drifting into Earth space? It did not make sense. "Raise defense alert," the commander ordered. Level 3. Across space, human warships began to move. Fighters launched from carriers. Guns powered up. Missile systems locked onto the unknown ship. From Earth, more stations turned to face it. The ship did nothing. No shields. No movement. It just floated. "Try communication," the commander said. A signal was sent. No reply. Again they tried. Still nothing. "Sir, life signs detected," a sensor officer said suddenly. The room went quiet again. "How many?" the commander asked. There was a pause. "Not sure. Readings are weak. But many." "Define many." "Hundreds." That changed everything. The commander looked at the screen again. That was not a warship. That was something else. "Medical scan," he ordered. The system worked fast. Data came in piece by piece. "Life signs are unstable," the officer said. "Low energy. Some very low." "How bad?" "Some are close to death." A heavy silence filled the room. Then, finally, a signal came. Weak, broken, but real. "Audio coming through," the technician said. "Play it." Static filled the speakers. A strange voice followed. It was not human. It was shaking, scared. The system worked to translate. Then, slowly, the word became clear. "Please." The voice stopped. Then came again. "Help us." No one moved. The voice continued, weaker this time. "We did not mean to come here." The message cut off. Silence returned. No one spoke for a few seconds. Then one officer whispered, "That didn't sound like an attack." The commander did not answer right away. "Scan again," he said. More data came in. The ship's inside structure showed signs of damage from weapons. Old damage, not recent. "Sir," another officer said, "this ship, it's been running for a long time. Systems are failing." "How long?" the commander asked. "Maybe months. Maybe longer." That made no sense. A ship that damaged should not survive that long. And yet it had. "Any signs of weapons inside?" the commander asked. "No. Mostly living spaces. Storage. Medical areas. Military. None." The commander stepped closer to the screen. "This is not an invasion ship," he said quietly. One officer spoke up, or pretending to be one. That thought stayed in the air, because it was possible. It could be a trap. Send a weak ship. Make humans lower defenses. Then attack. But something felt wrong about that idea. The ship was too broken. Too real. "Sir," the sensor officer said again, "there's more." "What?" "Long-range scan, picking up something behind them." The commander turned fast. "Show me." The screen changed. Far away, very far, something moved. At first, it was just a small signal. Then the system zoomed in. Shapes appeared. Ships. Many ships. Large ones. "Speed?" the commander asked. "High, very high." They are moving directly toward the system. How long until they arrive? Unknown. Maybe hours. Maybe less. The room went silent again. Now it made sense. The broken ship, the weak signal, the fear in that voice. They were not coming to attack. They were running. They're being chased. One officer said. The commander nodded slowly. Yes. Another officer spoke. Then we need to move them out. Now. Send them away before that fleet gets here. And send them where? Someone asked. They don't even know where they are. We can't risk Earth. That started the argument. Voices rose. Unknown species. Unknown threat. They could bring war here. The commander raised his hand. Silence returned. He looked at the broken ship again. Then he played the message one more time. Please help us. The room felt different now. Not fear. Something else. The commander took a deep breath. Prepare a boarding team, he said. Several officers looked shocked. Sir, we confirm what they are. No guesses. And if it's a trap, one asked. The commander's voice stayed calm. Then we deal with it. He paused and added, but if it's not, we don't leave him to die. The room stayed quiet. Orders began to move. Ships changed position. A small human vessel moved slowly toward the broken alien ship. Careful, ready, watching for any sudden move. But the alien ship stayed still, silent, waiting. Inside it, hundreds of lives held on by almost nothing. And far behind them, something was coming. Something that did not ask for help. Something that did not show mercy. And soon, it would reach Earth. The small human vessel moved slowly toward the broken alien ship. Every system was ready. Weapons were active, but not aimed to fire first. Inside the human ship, a boarding team waited in silence. They wore full protection suits. No one knew what they would find inside. Commander Elias stood at the front. Stay alert, he said. We go in, we observe, we report. No sudden moves. The team nodded. The airlock opened. Darkness waited on the other side. The alien ship had no lights. Only faint emergency signals blinked along the walls, like a dying heartbeat. The team stepped inside. The air was thin, cold. It smelled strange. Not dangerous, but different. Atmosphere is stable, one soldier said. Not harmful. They moved forward. The ship was quiet. Too quiet. No alarms. No movement. No guards. Just silence. Then they found them. The first group of aliens lay near the corridor walls. Thin bodies. Pale skin with a soft blue tone. Large eyes, half open. They looked weak. Some tried to move when they saw the humans, but they could not stand. They're not soldiers, one team member whispered. Commander Elias stepped closer. One of the aliens looked up at him. Its eyes were full of fear, but also hope. It tried to speak. The translator device worked slowly. You came? Elias knelt down. Yes, he said softly. We came. More aliens were found deeper inside. Families, children. Many were lying on the floor, too weak to move. Medical scans showed the truth quickly. Starvation, exhaustion, injuries that had not been treated. They've been like this for a long time, the medic said. They're barely holding on. Any weapons? Elias asked. None. Not even basic defense tools. That answered one question. These were not fighters. They were survivors. The team reached the main chamber. There, they found someone different. An older alien, still standing, though barely. It leaned against the broken control panel. Its eyes focused on the humans with effort. The translator activated. We did not come here by choice. Elias stepped forward. Who are you? He asked. The alien took a slow breath. We are Lyrans. The name meant nothing to the humans. Our world is gone. Silence filled the room. They came without warning. The alien's voice shook. We could not fight. Images were shared through the ship system. Destroyed cities. Burning skies. Large dark ships above their world. They chased you? Elias asked. The Lyran nodded slowly. We ran anywhere, nowhere. It looked at the broken controls. Navigation failed. We drifted. We did not know where we were going. Elias understood. They had not chosen Earth. They had found it by accident. Please, the Liran said again, do not send us back. The words were simple, but heavy. Elias said nothing for a moment. Then he spoke into his comm. Command, this is boarding team. Go ahead, the voice replied. Elias looked around at the weak, dying aliens. They're not a threat, he said. They're refugees. There was a pause. Then confirm? Confirmed. Another pause. Longer this time. We're bringing them in. Elias added. The answer came fast. Negative. Elias frowned. Repeat that. Negative. Do not move them yet. Sir, they need help now. They won't survive. That is not your call, the voice said firmly. The line went silent. Elias looked back at the Liran leader. The alien was still watching him, waiting, hoping, and slowly losing strength. Back on Earth, the debate had already begun. Emergency meetings filled every major command center. Leaders appeared on screens. Military officers stood ready with reports. Scientists shared early data. The room was tense. We cannot take risks, one leader said. We don't know this species. They are dying, another replied. We can't ignore that. They are being followed, a general added. A hostile fleet is coming straight toward us. That is exactly why we should not get involved. Arguments rose quickly. If we help them, we become a target. If we don't, we let hundreds die. We protect Earth first. We protect life first. The room divided. Some saw danger. Some saw responsibility. A scientist spoke up. The species is non-aggressive. No military structure. No weapon systems. They are not built for war. That makes them a liability. A military officer replied. No, the scientist said. It makes them victims. Silence followed. Then new data came in. The unknown fleet behind the Lirans was closer now. Clearer. Bigger than expected. They will arrive soon, the system reported. That changed the tone again. Fear grew. One leader spoke quietly. If we send the refugees away, the fleet may follow them. And if we keep them, then the fleet comes here. No one had a good answer. Back on the alien ship, time was running out. Human medics began basic support. Water, energy packs, temporary treatment. But it was not enough. They need full care, the medic said. Soon. Elias knew that. He opened the comm again. Command, we don't have time. We need permission to evacuate them. No answer. Command. Still nothing. Then finally, a new voice came through. Calm. Strong. Hold position. Elias recognized it. Admiral Reyes. We are still deciding, she said. Elias looked around at the suffering aliens. Ma'am, they won't last long. There was a pause. Then she said something unexpected. And neither might we. Elias did not respond. He understood. The decision was bigger than this ship. Bigger than this moment. It was about what kind of species humans would be. The Liran leader spoke again, very softly now. We understand, if you cannot help. We only ask, do not return us. Elias looked at him, then at his team, then at the dark space outside. Somewhere out there, the hunters were coming, and Earth had not yet decided whether to stand or step away. Time was running out. Inside the broken alien ship, the air felt heavier with every passing minute. The Lirans were fading. Human medics moved fast, but they were limited. Their tools were not enough for so many weak bodies. Commander Elias stood near the main chamber, watching. He had seen war before. He had seen destruction. But this felt different. There was no battle here, only the slow loss of life. A young Liran child held on to an older one, maybe a parent. The child's eyes were open, watching the humans carefully, not with fear, with quiet hope. Elias looked away for a moment. Then he activated his comm again. Command, this is boarding team. We need an answer. Now! Static filled the line. Then Admiral Reyes responded. We are still in session, she said. Elias clenched his jaw. Ma'am, with respect, they don't have time for a meeting. There was silence on the line. Then Reyes spoke again, slower this time. Understood. The connection ended. Back on Earth, the debate had reached its highest point. Every major leader was present. Military commanders, scientists, political heads, even civilian representatives. The room was filled with voices. If we act now, we risk war. If we wait, they die. The unknown fleet is close. We don't even know their full strength. We cannot protect everyone. One voice cut through the noise. Admiral Reyes stood. She did not shout, but everyone stopped speaking. "We are asking the wrong question," she said. Silence followed. She looked around the room. "This is not about what we risk," she continued. "It is about who we are." Some leaders shifted in their seats. She continued, "A damaged ship arrives. No weapons, no defense, only civilians." She paused. They asked for help. No one spoke. And our first instinct is to argue? A military general responded. Our first instinct is to survive. Reyes nodded slightly. "Yes, and we will." She tapped the display. Images of the Lyrans appeared. Weak bodies, injured, children. "They cannot survive without help," she said. "We are not responsible for them." Another leader replied. Reyes looked directly at him. "No," she said, "but we are responsible for what we choose to do next." The room went quiet again. A scientist spoke softly. "If we bring them in, we must prepare for fleet behind them." "We already are," a defense officer said. "Yes," the scientist replied, "but now it becomes certain." That was the truth. Helping the Lyrans meant one thing. The unknown fleet would not ignore Earth. It would come. One leader leaned forward. "And if that fleet destroys us?" No one answered right away. Then Reyes spoke again. "Then we face it together." Far out in space, the unknown fleet moved closer. It was no longer a distant signal. Now it was clear. Large ships, dark shapes, cold and silent, moving with purpose. They were not rushing. They were certain. Back on the alien ship, Elias walked through the corridor again. He stopped when he heard a weak voice. The Lyran child. Human. Elias turned. He knelt beside the child. "Yes." The translator worked slowly. "Will you send us away?" The question was simple, but it carried fear. Elias did not answer right away. He looked at the child, then at the older Lyran beside them, still breathing, but barely. Elias spoke carefully. "I don't know yet." The child blinked slowly. "We try to be good." Elias felt something tighten in his chest. "We did not fight. We did not harm." The child's voice grew weaker. "Why do they still chase us?" Elias had no answer for that, so he said something else. "We are here now." The child looked at him. "Will you stay?" Elias hesitated, just for a second, then, "Yes." The calm suddenly activated. "Boarding team, stand by." It was Admiral Reyes. Elias stood quickly. "Go ahead." There was a pause. Then she spoke clearly. "We have reached a decision." Everyone on the ship went still. Even the Lyran seemed to sense something. Elias waited. Then the words came. "We are granting them asylum." A breath left his chest. "They are under human protection." Around him, the team relaxed slightly. But Reyes was not finished. "All units prepare for incoming hostile contact." There it was. The cost. Elias nodded. "Understood." "Evacuate all survivors immediately," Reyes ordered. "Full medical support authorized." "Yes, ma'am." The line ended. Action began at once. Human ships moved into position. Transport vessels approached the alien ship. Medical teams prepared inside them. Elias turned to his team. "You heard the order. Move fast." They spread out, carefully lifting Lyrans, carrying them through the corridors. Some were too weak to respond. Others watched with quiet disbelief. They were not being pushed away. They were being saved. The Lyran leader saw this. "You chose to help," it said. Elias nodded. "Yes." The alien closed its eyes for a moment, not in fear, in relief. One by one, the Lyrans were moved into human ships. into safety. The process was slow, but steady. No one was left behind. Elias was the last to leave. He looked back once more at the broken ship. It had carried them across space, kept them alive. And now, its journey was over. He stepped into the transport. The airlock closed. The ship pulled away. As the last transport moved toward Earth, a new alert came in. Enemy fleet entering system. Every screen lit up. The shapes appeared. Massive, dark, closer than ever. They had arrived. And now, they knew exactly where the Lyrans were. Inside human space. Elias looked at the screen, then at the rescued aliens around him. Weak, silent, alive. He spoke quietly, to no one in particular. They're safe now. Outside, human fleets moved into formation. Weapons powered up. Lines were drawn. Not for conquest, not for pride, but for something simple. Protection. And far across the stars, a new message began to spread. Humans had made their choice. The enemy did not rush. They did not need to. Their ships moved into the system with slow, steady control. Massive shapes blocked the stars behind them. Dark metal surfaces reflected no light, no signals of fear, no signs of hesitation. They came as if the outcome was already decided. Inside Earth's command centers, every screen showed the same image. The Karth Dominion fleet, now fully visible. Hundreds of ships, some larger than anything humans had ever built. A silence spread across every human station. Then the first signal came. Clear, strong, cold. This system is now under Dominion authority. The voice was not loud, but it carried power. Return the Lyran vessels. No anger, no emotion, just a statement, a command. In orbit above Earth, Admiral Reyes stood on the command deck of the flagship. Her eyes stayed on the screen. Open channel, she said. The line connected. This is Admiral Reyes of Earth Defense, she said. You are entering a protected system. There was a short pause. Then the alien voice returned. Your designation is irrelevant. Some officers shifted uneasily. The voice continued. You are in possession of Dominion property. Reyes did not react. They are not property, she said. They are under our protection. Another pause. Longer this time. Then, incorrect. The word felt heavier than it should. They fled lawful reclamation. Reyes crossed her arms. They are civilians. They are resources. The bridge went silent. That one word changed everything. Resources, not people, not lives, just something to be taken. Reyes spoke again. They will not be returned. This time, the pause was different. Not calm, not neutral. It felt like something had shifted. Then the alien voice spoke again. Then you accept conflict. Reyes answered without delay. Yes. The channel closed. Across human space, alarms activated. Battle stations were called. Ships moved into position. Fighter squadrons launched in waves. Defense platforms locked targets. Every system prepared for impact. There was no more debate, no more waiting, only action. Inside one of the medical ships, Commander Elias stood near the observation window. He watched as human fleets formed a defensive line between Earth and the Karth ships. The Lyrans were being treated behind him. Some were stable now. Others still fought to stay alive. The Lyran leader rested in a medical pod. Its breathing was slow, but steady. A doctor approached Elias. They're improving, she said, but they need time. Elias nodded. Will they make it? Some will, she said quietly. Elias looked back out the window. We'll make sure they get that time. Far ahead, the first human ships reached their positions. They were smaller, faster, less powerful, but they did not move back. They held the line. The Karth fleet continued forward. No change in speed. No attempt to avoid conflict. They moved as if nothing could stop them. Range closing. A human officer reported. Hold position, Reyes said. Every second felt longer than the last. Weapons were ready. Targets were locked. Still, no one fired. Then, a single Karth ship moved ahead of the others, larger than the rest. It stopped, and then it fired. A beam of energy shot forward, fast, precise. It struck a human defense platform. The explosion lit up space. The platform broke apart instantly. Gone. Just like that. No warning. No hesitation. "They've opened fire," an officer shouted. Reyes stayed calm. "All units, return fire." The command spread across the fleet. And then, war began. Human ships fired together. Missiles launched in waves. Energy weapons lit up the dark. The first strikes hit the car front line. Explosions flashed across their hulls. But the damage was limited. Their armor was strong. Very strong. "They're pushing through," a pilot reported. Car ships advanced without slowing. Their return fire was heavy, precise, deadly. A human cruiser was hit. Its shields collapsed. The second strike tore through its side. The ship drifted, burning. "Rescue teams move in," came the order. Even in the middle of battle, humans went back. Small ships broke formation, flying through fire, pulling survivors from damaged vessels. The Karth ships did not do this. They did not rescue. They did not hesitate. They just moved forward. On the command deck, Reyes watched everything. "Adjust formation," she ordered. "Keep them away from Earth." Human ships shifted, not to attack deeper, but to block. Every movement was defensive. Every action was controlled. They were not trying to win fast. They were trying to hold. Inside the medical ship, the Lyrans could see it too. Through the windows, flashes of light, explosions. Human ships falling back, but not breaking. The Lyran leader slowly opened his eyes. "They fight for us." Elias stood beside it. "Yes." "Why?" Elias did not look away from the battle. "Because you needed help." The Lyran was silent for a moment. Then it spoke again. "We were not worth this." Elias shook his head. "You are." Back in the battle, the situation grew worse. The Karth fleet was too strong, too advanced. They began to push the human line backward, slowly, but surely, shields failing on multiple ships. An officer reported. Casualties rising. Reyes watched the data. Every loss mattered. Every second counted. But the line still held. Barely. Then something changed. A group of human ships broke formation. They moved fast, straight, toward the center of the Karth fleet. "Intercept squadron moving," a pilot reported. "What are they doing?" Another asked. Reyes understood. "They're creating an opening." The ships pushed deep into enemy lines, drawing fire, taking heavy damage. But they did not stop. They struck key targets, disrupting formation, slowing the advance. The Karth fleet adjusted. For the first time, they reacted. The human line stabilized. Just enough. Not victory, not safety, but a moment, a chance. Reyes took it. "All units," she said. "Hold the line." Her voice stayed steady. "No one falls back." Outside, the battle burned across space. Fire against darkness, hope against certainty. And in the middle of it all, one truth became clear. Humans were not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most advanced. But they did something the Karth did not understand. They stood their ground, not for power, not for conquest, but for others. And they would not move, not this time. The battle did not slow. It grew worse. Space around Earth burned with light and fire. Human ships moved in tight patterns, trying to hold the line. The Karth fleet kept pushing forward, heavy and unstoppable. Every second, more human ships were hit. Every second, the cost increased. But still, they did not retreat. On the command deck, Admiral Reyes stood without moving. "Status," she said. "Front line holding at 40% strength," an officer replied. "We are losing ships faster than we can recover. Enemy losses? Minimal. That was expected. The Karth ships were built for war. Humans were built for survival." Reyes looked at the map. The red markers kept growing, but so did something else. Human ships were not breaking formation. They were adjusting, learning, fighting smarter. Inside a damaged cruiser, alarm screamed. Fire spread through one section. The ship had lost engines. "Evacuate," the captain ordered. Escape pods launched into space. but some were too slow. A second car strike hit the ship. It split apart, gone in seconds. Nearby, a small human rescue craft rushed forward, ignoring incoming fire, pulling survivors from the debris. One pilot shouted over comms, "Hold on, we got you." This was not normal war. This was something else. Back in the medical ship, Commander Elias watched the battle closely. The Lee-Rans were awake now, many of them, weak but alive. They could see everything. The flashes, the destruction, the human ships falling one by one. The Lee-Ran leader looked at Elias again. "You are losing." Elias did not deny it. "We knew that could happen." "Then why continue?" Elias took a breath, then answered simply, "Because you're still here." The Lee-Ran did not speak after that, but its eyes stayed on him. Back in the battle, something changed. Human ships began to move differently. Less direct attacks, more coordination. Small groups formed. They targeted weak points. They avoided heavy fire. They adapted, enemy patterns shifting. A carved voice reported within their fleet. Their commanders watched. Humans were not fighting like before. They were not stronger, but they were learning fast. Too fast. A squadron of human fighters moved through the battlefield. Fast. Precise. They dodged incoming fire, hit key systems, then pulled back, again and again. "Target their sensors," one pilot said. "Blind them." The next attack wave focused only on that. Karth ships began to lose targeting accuracy. Small but important. Another group targeted engines, slowing larger ships. Another group protected damaged allies. Layer by layer, humans rebuilt their defense. On the flagship, Reyes saw it clearly. "They're adapting," she said. A young officer nodded. "Yes, ma'am. They're finding patterns in enemy fire." Reyes allowed herself a small breath. "Good. Push that advantage." Orders spread quickly. Human ships began to fight not just with strength, but with strategy. The Karth fleet slowed. Not much, but enough. For the first time since the battle began, they were not advancing freely. They were being held. Inside one Karth command ship, their leader watched the battle. "This resistance is inefficient," it said. Another voice replied, "They should have collapsed by now." The leader studied the data. "They are protecting something." "Yes." "Then remove it." Back near Earth, a new group of Karth ships broke formation. They moved fast, past the human front line, straight toward the planet. "Enemy breakthrough," a human officer shouted. "They're heading for Earth." Reyes reacted instantly. "All intercept units, redirect now." Human ships turned quickly, chasing the incoming threat. But the Karth ships were fast. Too fast. They'll reach orbit in minutes. Inside the medical ship, alarms activated. Incoming hostiles. The Lee-Rans looked around in fear. Elias grabbed a comm unit. "All hands, prepare for possible impact." The ship had no real weapons. No defense. Only patience. Only survivors. Outside, human fighters rushed forward, throwing themselves between the Karth ships and Earth. "Form a barrier," a pilot shouted. They spread out, blocking the path. The Karth ships did not slow. They opened fire. Human fighters exploded one after another, but they held position. Even as they fell, they did not move aside. Elias watched this through the screen. His voice was quiet. "They're standing in the way." A medic beside him whispered, "They know they can't win that fight." Elias nodded. "They're not trying to win." Back in space, the last line of fighters remained. Damaged, outnumbered, outgunned, but still there. One pilot spoke calmly. "No one gets through." Another answered, "Copy that." The Karth ships fired again. More losses, but still not enough. They were delayed, slowed, stopped just long enough. Then human reinforcements arrived. A full defense wave. Heavy ships, armed and ready. They struck the Karth flank. Hard, unexpected. The enemy formation broke slightly. Not much, but enough. The push toward Earth stopped. Back on the flagship, Reyes spoke. "That's it. That's the opening." She gave the final order. All units, full coordinated strike. Every human ship responded. At once. No delay, no hesitation. A unified attack. Focused, precise. Everything aimed at one goal. Push them back. The battlefield lit up like never before. Missiles, energy beams, explosions across multiple targets. The Karth fleet took real damage now. Not heavy, but real. For the first time, they were not in control. Inside their command ship, the Karth leader watched. Unexpected resistance. Another voice spoke. They fight beyond logical limits. The leader paused, then said something new. Reevaluate. Back in human space, the line held. Barely. Ships were damaged. Many were lost. But the system was still standing. Earth was still protected. And the Lyrans were still alive. Elias looked around the medical ship. Every patient breathing. Every life still there. He spoke quietly. We did it. But he knew the truth. Not yet. The battle was not over. But something had changed. The Karth had come expecting fear. Expecting surrender. Instead, they found something else. Something they did not understand. Humans did not fight because they could win. They fought because they had chosen to protect. And once that choice was made, they did not stop. The battle slowed. Not because it was over, but because something had changed. The Karth fleet no longer pushed forward. Their ships still moved, still watched, still held position. But they were no longer certain. In human space, damaged ships drifted. Fires were put out. Systems struggled to stay active. Rescue teams moved everywhere, pulling survivors from broken hulls, helping the injured, holding the line, even after the fight had slowed. No one celebrated. It had cost too much. On the flagship, Admiral Reyes stood in silence. Status, she said quietly. An officer answered. Enemy advance has stopped. They are holding position outside engagement range. Loss report. There was hesitation. Hi. Reyes nodded slowly. She already knew, but there was one more question. The Lyrans? Safe, ma'am. That mattered more than anything else. A signal came in. The Karth were opening a channel again. The room became still. Put it through, Reyes said. The same cold voice returned. But something was different now. Less certain. You continue to resist, it said. Reyes answered calmly. Yes. You have suffered significant loss. Yes. And yet you do not withdraw. No. A pause followed, longer than before. Then the Karth voice asked something new. Why? The question spread across every human system, every ship, every station. Reyes looked at the screen. She could have answered with strategy, with logic, with strength, but she did not. They came to us for help, she said. They did not come for war. Another pause. They are not your species. No, they provide no strategic value. Reyes took a breath. Then she said, their lives. Silence followed, not just on the human side, but on theirs. Inside their command ship, the Karth leader processed the answer. It did not match expected logic. It did not follow known patterns. Other species fought for power, for territory, for survival, not for others. Not like this. In efficient behavior, one Karth voice said. The leader did not respond immediately. It watched the human fleet again, ships still holding position, still ready, even after loss, even after damage. They had not broken. Back on the medical ship, Elias stood beside the Lyran leader. The alien was stronger now, still weak but alive. The fighting has stopped, it said. For now, Elias replied. You stood against them? Yes. The Lyran looked at him carefully. You are not like other species. Elias gave a small, tired smile. We get that a lot. In orbit, the human fleet stayed ready. No one powered down weapons. No one relaxed, because the Karth were still there, watching, thinking. Then, their formation changed. Slowly, their ships began to turn, away from Earth. At first, it was hard to believe. They're pulling back, an officer said. Reyes did not move. Confirmed. Enemy fleet is retreating. A quiet wave moved through the command deck. Not cheering. Not yet. Just relief. Careful relief. The car signal came one last time. This system is no longer a priority target. Reyes said nothing. The voice continued. You demonstrate abnormal behavior. Another pause. We will observe further. Then the signal ended. The fleet moved away. Slowly. Then faster. Until they were gone. The battle was over. Across human space, the silence felt unreal. After so much noise, so much fire. Now, nothing. Just drifting ships. And survivors. Rescue operations continue for hours. Then days. Every ship searched. Every signal was answered. No one was left behind. Not if it could be helped. On Earth, the news spread quickly. Humans had faced a stronger enemy and survived. But that was not what people talked about most. They talked about why, about the choice that had been made. The Lyrans were brought down to the planet, carefully, gently, given space to recover, to heal, to live. They were not treated as outsiders, not as burdens, but as guests. Time passed. Slowly, they grew stronger. They learned human language, human ways, and humans learned from them too. Their knowledge, their culture, their history, a history that almost ended. One day, the Lyran leader stood beside Elias again, stronger now, able to stand without help. We do not understand, it said. Elias looked at him. Understand what? Why you chose us. Elias thought for a moment, then answered simply, you needed help. The Lyran was quiet. Many would not have done the same. Elias nodded. Maybe. Then what makes humans different? Elias looked up at the sky, at the stars above, then back at the Lyran. We decide who we want to be. Far beyond Earth, the Karth Dominion watched. They studied human data, battle records, decisions, behavior. They did not understand it fully, but they remembered it because it was new, because it was dangerous in a different way. Not power, not fear, but something else. Across nearby systems, a message began to spread, quiet at first, then louder, from one species to another. A simple idea. If you are lost, if you are hunted, if you have nowhere left to go, find human space, because there you will not be turned away. Back on Earth, life continued. The damage was repaired, the loss were remembered, and the choice remained. Clear, strong, unchanged. Humans were not the strongest, not the oldest, not the most advanced, but they had proven something greater. When others ran from danger, humans stepped forward. When others saw risk, humans saw lives. And when the moment came to choose, they chose to protect, no matter the cost. And that choice echoed across the stars.